Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Drew Brown, and my wingman, my man, the number one guy I know, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother? Welcome to the Wingman Show, where we're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Commander Drew Brown. That other badass jet pilot I'm talking about is my friend, the guy who watches my six, my main man, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother Paul?
Good morning, Commander Drew. It's good to see you. What's up? I'm up. You're up. It's good to be up. Feeling
Man,
really
it's
good.
great.
I'm
It's
glad
a
to see
great
you.
day, I'll tell you that.
It is.
All right, well, we'll start off with a quote. Giving is a shortcut to happiness. That's by Ariana Huffington. Giving is a shortcut to happiness. And I'll tell you right now, Dr. Paul, I noticed that the more I give, the more I get.
I do too, and I enjoy doing that, even at the consternation of a good friend of mine, otherwise known as a great grand Ayatollah. Like you said, you can be a philanthropist by just giving $1 at a time. It doesn't have to be $1 billion, but something to help somebody. Might not even be monetary.
Well, you know what we do? We start off with good news. Dr. Paul, how long do you think it is appropriate to say goodbye to a loved one at an airport when you drop them off?
Well, Mr. Drew, dropping somebody off at the airport, I think for traffic, 30 seconds is good.
Well, actually, a 20-second hug is enough to release oxytocin and serotonin, and that's that feel-good, happy hormones. But in New Zealand, they now have signs up that you are only allowed to say goodbye to a loved one or anybody else at the airport. They have a 3-minute hug sign. That's a lot of hugging, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a lot of hugging. And I think that's at the I guess that's at the quick drop-off place. I think if you want to hug longer, they say go to another parking lot or something like that. That's a long time. You know what that makes me think of? It reminds me of I guess the old days when people went to the airport and you could just walk up to the counter, walk up to the gate. There was no security at all. You could just walk up and people would spend some time there. It was like no big deal.
Yeah, I remember that very well. And I don't think 3 minutes would be appropriate at the Atlanta airport. At Hartsfield Jackson, I don't think 3 minutes would be appropriate at all because those cops there do not play. You got to go.
Yeah, I have had some interesting experiences at the Hartsfield Airport with the unique law enforcement they have there. It's improved in recent years.
Well, actually, Paul, they give the airport assignments in most cities to the lowest ranking police officers. So if you have problems at an airport, that might be one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I was just saying this is not a dumping on law enforcement people, but sometimes I've seen them when I've experienced myself. They get a little crazy for no reason at all. I would just think that if I got assigned to an airport, I thought you'd be to me that would be a a big benefit, but they don't see it that way. And they're moving traffic, but the craziness sometimes that comes out, unnecessary craziness, really can sour one's experience, either coming or going. But yeah, no, Hartsfield Jackson, 3 minutes. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
What if I told you some other good news? What if I told you they're now experimenting with making lollipops that can detect mouth cancer?
Yeah, yeah, because I know they use lollipops for or something like that for other oral diseases. I guess this is an improvement. And I guess it's an easier way of getting a sample, something that's
That's right.
accurate.
And all kids love lollipops at the doctor's office. I
Yeah.
never understood why they gave candy at a dentist office, but who knows? Now, what if I told you Manute Bol would have to look up to somebody? You know, we have a ball player, Victor Wembanyama, who's 7'5" in the NBA right now. What if I told you there's a guy playing for the University of Florida that Victor would have to look up to? What if I told you that there's a guy named Oliver Rue from Canada that is 7 7'9".
I saw that. That's a tall guy. Remember the guy that was Taco Falls? He played for the Celtics for a while. I think he was 7'5" or 7'6" or something like that. 7'9". I think, yeah, they said isn't he the tallest? He has a world's record for the tallest, being the tallest teenager.
Tallest teenager ever. And yes, I do know Taco Ball. I actually went and saw Milwaukee when he played with them. They had practice here in Atlanta, and one of my friends is a partial owner of the Milwaukee Bucks back then. And so I went to a practice, and they're very, very tall. Now, how about this one? Do you know what a decillion is? We know what a million is. We know what a billion is. We know what a trillion is. Do you have any idea what a decillion is?
This Commander, a decillion sounds like something on a centipede.
It's actually a number. It's a number. It has 36 zeros after the number. And the reason I'm telling you this is that Russia has sued Google for 20 undecillion dollars. So if 36 zeros doesn't get you, what if I told you it was 20 billion trillion dollars? Or if that doesn't get you, what if I told you the GDP of the entire world is only 110 trillion and Russia has sued Google because they wouldn't put up some YouTubes for them for 20 undecillion dollars? How crazy is that?
Well, that means they'd have to sue some other planets too to make it all add up. Yeah, don't mess with YouTube, and we try to stay in their good graces, so we don't want to upset them. We're not going to sue for 20 decillion, but we'll stay within the rules.
Yes, watch us on YouTube. You'll get to see all the pictures we put up there. Well, the name of our show this week is How to Exercise Without Exercising. Take a pill? Are you joking? They have just come up with a pill that can actually imitate exercising. It can actually raise your metabolic rate to something that if you ran really fast a 10K race, you can take a pill and actually imitate that feeling or imitate that in your body. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've read about that. I'm not too crazy about that. It duplicates metabolic functions, but where's the fun in that?
I don't know. What's your favorite word?
Move. Yeah, you're not moving. You know where I think that might work? I don't think it work for me. Maybe if you like long space travel, that might be a good thing to do. But for the average person, I mean, this is untested. It can mimic some things, but it can't mimic everything.
No, it can't miss muscle growth. You can't mimic cardio, but they're doing it for astronauts because when you go to space, you lose a lot of bone density. You lose a lot up in the atmosphere, and that's because your body is under that non-gravity for so long. It actually messes up your body totally.
Yeah, it's a
But
harsh environment. It's cold, and I mean, I was sprinting hills yesterday a little bit, just a couple times. Yeah, give me a pill that'll do that.
to sprint your hill. Well, how about this? Maybe I have something for you. You know, Magic Mind is a sponsor of us. And so if you want some energy, Magic Mind, they say they give you energy. And, you know, you and I take Magic Mind every morning now. And I just cleaned out my hurricane shelter. And I have no idea how I got that much energy. It might be the Magic Mind, it might not be. But I will tell you this, my hurricane shelter for years has been just filled with junk. And now I had the energy. The other day, Katrina and I, we actually cleaned out that hurricane shelter.
Well, yeah, because doesn't Katrina, doesn't she like invade your stash? So you got magic mind floating. I got the same problem here. You know, some of mine goes missing, but it goes missing because of productivity. So we both do little things, and I was cleaning up some stuff that needed to be cleaned probably for the last year. Like 30 minutes, I did it all.
If anybody'd like to get Magic Mind, all you have to do is go to magicmind.co. That's magicmind.co. And if you get a subscription, they will give you 40% off. If you want to try it for a couple times, just put in the code Wingman20 and they'll give you 20% off. but I just had a lot of energy. And I hopefully it's from that magic mind. A lot of things are changing since I've started taking that. All right, Dr. Paul, you notice those badass jets we got behind us today?
I
I
do.
believe you have an A4 coming aboard the ship, and I have that funky F4 Phantom, which I love. What do you think about our jets?
Yeah, I like your picture. And on the left side of the wing looks like there's like a multiple ejector rack. I guess it would have a weapon there that's either been deployed or something. It's like he's in a hard climb, trying to get to somebody or get away from something. Yeah, I don't know. Mine is landing on the USS something or other, some carriers, some carrier somewhere. I saw that picture. I thought it was nice.
It's a great picture. The USS something or other. I love that ship too. Everybody out there, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you so much for subscribing to us. We truly appreciate you listening to us on Apple Podcasts, watching us on YouTube, watching our shorts on TikTok and Instagram. Hit us up on that gram. We truly appreciate it. And we have a website called wingmanshow.com. That's right, wingmanshow.com. We have a newsletter on that website, and our newsletter this week is quickest exercise routine when time is a factor. Don't take that pill, but this is the quickest exercise routines you can have when time is a factor. Also on our website, we have something called the frequent flow line. And the frequent flow line is a place where you can ask Dr. Paul or I any question you'd like to. And if we can, we'll get to it. And I have a frequent flow line letter for us today. It's from a woman, a 34-year-old woman in Biloxi, Mississippi. And she writes, both of you have raised successful children. What are your views on spanking children as a teaching tool? I get on the frequent flow line. I'm sorry. I hope I get on the frequent flow line. God bless you all for being real life role models. Well, I'll start this one off, Dr. Paul. As far as spanking, I spank my kids like my father spanked me. Like, I do not believe in physical abuse whatsoever. My father spanked me, and it was only about a couple things, like lying in school, if you want to know the truth. It was a nuclear explosion if anybody called from school. And the way he spanked me is he would just tell me, go to my room. That's when the spanking started. I knew it already. I'd have to sit in my room, wait there. He'd come in 10, 15 minutes later, open the door and say, get on the bed, pull down your pants and lay on the bed. And I'm telling you, that's where my mind was just going crazy. He'd come back in 10 minutes, hit me 2 or 3 good hard times on the butt with his hand and yell because he cared so much. And it actually, he used to say it. I didn't believe him, but I see it's true. He said, this hurts me more than it hurts you. So what I think about spanking, I think physical abuse is horrible. But in the military, uh, we have strategic nuclear weapons. And what was the other kind of nuclear weapons we have?
Tactical nukes.
Tactical nuclear weapons. That's right. Tactical is actually where you use it, but strategic is where you just threaten it. I do believe that there's a nuclear zone with children that they should not go beyond. And I think I've only spanked my kids 2 or 3 times a piece, maybe in their whole life. The point is, they knew that line, and that line was definitely school or lying. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I think, like you said, there are lines or there are positions they should not cross. And if they've been raised, halfway decently, they pretty much know those lines. If they cross them intentionally, well, then, you suffer the consequences. And we read about all kinds of very horrible things, horrible trends that go on these days. And you can kind of tell there was no correction was ever administered way back when. It's better to do things early than too late. In terms of being a teaching tool, yeah, it could be a teaching tool. I agree with you. It shouldn't be a regular thing, abuse and, ritualistic beatings because, I was tortured. You'll be tortured. This is, I came from through a family that was from enslaved people, so I'm going to continue that tradition. No, 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 you can't do that. Also, it's important that you not take out your frustrations because of what's going on in your life or your job or something like that on a child. I've seen that stuff happen too. I grew up with people nearby. I didn't experience it myself. I knew that I could hear them screaming like a block away. I could recognize voices long blocks away. That's extreme, but at that time, hey, that's the way it goes. Like one guy's father was actually a cop. You
Well,
know,
I'll tell you
sometimes.
this. I remember in my neighborhood, kids would show me welts on their legs and their backs where they got hit with belts and cords and ironing cords and things like that, which my father never did. All he did was hit me with his hand, the flat part of his hand. And I will tell you this, you know, when you stop hitting kids, when your hand starts to hurt too much. And he only spanked me on the butt. So it's very important. I remember I didn't make my daughter pull down her pants. So I used to just hit her on top of her pants. But like I said, 2 or 3 times only. But I remember the last time my hand hurt, it didn't work, and that was the end of spanking. And I only did it when they were young, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
I'll tell you what, my kids are very successful. One is an attorney, the other is a spine surgeon. So I think I did pretty good. All right. How about this? We take this to a Wingman PSA from the 11 Facts in Life. Fact number 3: make a negative a positive and learn from the past. Make a negative a positive and learn from the past. I'll give you a quick example, Dr. Paul. You know how it is to be the only black pilot in a squadron. Well, when I first got in the Navy at AOCS, I was the only black one there. And all these kids, because I'm 6'5", I'm kind of good looking, they said, "Hey, you think you're tall, dark, and handsome? Well, you're not Clark Gable, you're Dark Gable." And when I heard those words, I said, "That's the coolest name I ever heard." And I took that negative and made it a positive, and that became my call sign. And actually, they realized that it was a cool call sign also, and they were like, "No, no, it's too many syllables. You can't have that as a call sign." Well, you can kiss my butt because that is my call sign. It's Dark Gable. So I took a negative and made it a positive.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, the Dark Clark Gable, we'll show a picture of who Clark Gable was. Very, very famous movie actor in the middle of the 20th century. Very, very, very famous. So they linked you with somebody that was cool, and that messed it up. You're not supposed to like it.
That's very true. You know, Magic Mind, once again, I just wanted to say real quick, they have a bunch of ingredients in it, and one of them is vitamin C and vitamin D. But I never really understood or read what vitamin C and vitamin D does, so we looked it up. You want to tell them what vitamin C does, Paul?
Yeah, vitamin C does a lot of good things. It's got a lot of good benefits. It's good for immune system support. It stimulates the production and function of white blood cells. It's got antioxidant properties, got collagen synthesis, I should say, and that's going to be good for your skin and other things. Helps you absorb iron, and it's good for cardiovascular health. Help your heart pump and lower your blood pressure.
Wow. Well, if you add vitamin D to that, vitamin D helps with bone health, which is so important, immune function, muscle strength, mood regulation. It actually controls your mood. How about that? And calcium absorption. But vitamin D, it always brings me back to my mom, Rhoda, who used to teach me to put my hands out and look up into the sun and recharge my batteries. My children do it now. And that's where I got my vitamin D. And it's funny, didn't you tell me your mom did the same thing?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think most parents did if they want to get kids out of there. Go out, get some sunshine, get some, charge your batteries up. She would say charge your batteries up. And and that's true. Even if it's even if it's an overcast day, sometimes the sun's not out. You still get some. So get outside for a little bit each day if you can.
All right, Paul, let me ask you this. Do you know what the gouge is? The gouge is shit you need to know that sometimes nobody tells you.
Yeah.
What do you think the top 9 countries are the easiest for Americans to move to? Now, the easiest countries are Mexico, Canada, and Costa Rica. That's the easiest countries that you can move to. And there's a reason for that. How they determined this list was the quality of life, cost of living, immigration process, job market, cultural attractions, and natural beauty. The easiest countries, like I said, were Mexico, Canada, and Costa Rica. But which are the top countries you think Americans are moving to now? You want to guess some of them?
Let's see. Well, if I just take an honest guess, I would put Costa Rica first. I got a good buddy that built a place down there recently, so that's off the list. Okay, just I would say Canada. You want nine or just a few?
Well, what if I just tell them to you and you tell me if you've been to these places?
Okay.
All right. Portugal, Greece, France, Spain, Switzerland, Austria, Slovenia, the Netherlands, and Mexico. What do you think about those 9 countries? And which one of those would you like to move to?
Mexico. So well, you mentioned Mexico. Okay, Norway. You talked about, well, you just went to Portugal. I've heard about it, never been there. Like to check it out. Spend time in France. I can see that. Spain, I was there, one time. That was cool. Switzerland once, Austria never, just flown over it. Slovenia, I don't know anything about Slovenia, to be honest with you. But to answer your question, I would probably, from familiarity, France would be a relatively easy one for me.
Yes, we've been there many times. And I'm actually going to Greece this summer. I've been to Crete, but I've never actually been to Athens or anything like that. And we're going to go on a cruise this summer. And actually, I think I would move to Costa Rica because it's the only place that doesn't have natural disasters. Now, I got a better question for you. You had to rake leaves, I'm sure, when you lived in Queens.
A
But what
lot.
if you told your dad, hey, Dad, I just read that you're supposed to leave the leaves because it makes our yard healthier? What do you think your dad would have said about that?
Yeah, I saw that some article about leaving some of the leaves because it's good for mammals and insects to develop. That wouldn't have worked too well with my dad. No, 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 no. Rake those leaves. Those leaves are up. Uh, your whole day could be ruined by a gust of wind, and that happened a lot to me. But well, but anyway, like I was telling you yesterday, there's one major story. I Something I didn't do right, and a couple famous baseball players were coming at a bowling alley near where we live, like a block and a half away. Uh, Two stars from a new baseball team called the New York Mets. That's how old we are. They were a new team. They're two stars, uh, Cleon Jones and Tommy Agee. You can look
Boy,
it
do
up.
I remember them.
Cleon Jones and Tommy Agee were going to be at the bowling alley on right off Dunkirk. Dunkirk's a street. And I was going to go, and I didn't do something. My father said, "Nope, you're not going anywhere. You're going to rake those leaves." And I did have to rake some more leaves. So, no, if I said, "Hey, the article said," no, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked.
Well, actually, for people out there who would like to know some gouge, actually leaving the leaves on your yard or your lawn is actually very healthy for your grass. And if you don't, you can't have them totally covered because that'll ruin the grass. But rake them up to places where trees aren't, and they actually become compost. But keeping those leaves on your lawn actually is very good for the environment of the health of your lawn and the health of all the animals that like those leaves. Well, the name of our show is called The Wingman Show. And the reason is because we talk and we talk about the reason is because we talk about people who help others. And this week, Dr. Paul has a great wingman for you. Dr. Paul, tell us about our wingman this week.
Well, I'm happy to, Commander Drew. This is a unique pair of wingmen. Wingmen, these are Cape member wingmen, someone that wingmen look out for each other. Wingmen look out for each other. Here we have a pair of wingmen who ended up looking out for each other in unexpected ways. Talk about two gentlemen, one named Adam Gates and the other named Tim Simmons. Adam worked in a food bank, delivering out food to the homeless. Tim was a person who was homeless. And somehow they got together and Tim came to Adam, I guess when he was working at the food bank, said, "I really need food." He said, "No problem. I'll get you food. And I'll even get you food tomorrow. And I'll even get you food next week." And they started like just a little relationship with each other. About 2 weeks later, Adam had some opportunity and moved away to another state. He moved a couple thousand miles away to Colorado. Tim kept in touch with them by text messages, and they kept the friendship going. And I guess years later, Adam, the caregiver in this case, went through a period of severe and crippling depression, didn't know how he was going to cope. And he states that it was through his relationship with Tim, through their text messages. They're encouraging Tim encouraging Adam to keep going, that he came out of it. He snapped himself out and he came out of it after a long time. In any case, shortly thereafter, Tim contacts Adam and says he needs help. Tim had suffered a stroke and a heart attack and needed a heart transplant. In order to get this transplant, Tim was tasked with raising $5,000. How is he going to get a homeless person, former homeless? $5,000 is a lot of money. He states, what he needs to Adam. Adam arranges, he gets the $5,000. They raise the $5,000 and realize that, and the reason he has to do this is because Tim has a history of substance abuse. He's a drug addict. So in order to justify getting a human heart placed in you, you basically got to prove you got to have some skin in the game. And his skin in the game is $5,000. Realizing the cost of a heart transplant in the U.S. on average, like 5 years ago, was like $1.6 million. So ask him to give $5,000. It's just like, let's see if you're serious about this. Anyway, Adam raises the money. It's he raises the money, raises the $5,000 and a little bit more for care that Tim will need afterwards. Long story short, Tim gets a heart transplant. And today the two men are still fast friends. They've helped each other out, and they're both working on a book about Tim's life. Don't know what the title will be, but they're actually working on a book. Might even become a screenplay. So these are two wingmen who use what I call CCMRT, communication, cooperation, mutual respect, and trust. And they basically help save each other.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And I'll tell you, if you want if you need a heart transplant or any transplant, you have to prove to the hospital, like you were saying, that you can recover and take care of yourself after the operation or the procedure. And we were talking about vitamin C and vitamin D that were in Magic Mind. If anybody'd like to get Magic Mind, just go to magicmind.co, and they'll give you 40% off if you get a subscription. If you just like to try it for a couple times, just put in the code Wingman20 and they'll give you 20% off. Well, everybody out there who can hear me or see me, whatever you think is important, whatever you think is beautiful, and especially whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace.
I pray for peace too, Commander Drew, and to all our subscribers and all those who listen, like, and share our message. We appreciate you. Thank you for your support. If you're looking at YouTube, please give us a like, a thumbs up. It helps the Google algorithm spread this. So pass this on to someone you know, someone who likes aviation or someone who likes life, to hear something positive, something a little bit different. Thanks again.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth. on goodwill towards all men and women.